Sighting that had even jaded New Yorkers scratching their heads. A mysterious silver shiny object or object.
Egan described Gacy as rational, premeditated, and evil, who killed his victims
the nation. 900 people killed, including hundreds of children, and a U.S. congressman at the order of a
Area
religious
51
leader.
was actually started as a joke, but now officials are growing worried that people will start to follow through.
Yeah, it was almost exactly 5 years ago.
I shall call him Mini-Me.
All right. We're doing a mini.
Mini-sode. Oh, I do want to splash my light.
Yeah.
Ooh. Swirl, don't
Oh, are we all drinking wine?
This is...
Oh, cheers, ladies!
It's like our icon.
Shit, I didn't get the red memo, but oh well, that's okay. White is good too.
It's all good. I'm drinking a red blend. I don't know about you guys.
I think mine's a Merlot,
Nice.
but I don't know for sure.
Mine is a Sauvignon Blanc. $12, you know.
Well,
Cheap.
friends, if it's your first time listening, this is a fucking mini-sode. And usually we record these after our main, so we're a little bit on the toastier side. So I'm definitely there. I don't know about you ladies.
Me too. We had a pretty long, pre-episode chat, and I drank, 2 glasses, so.
Beautiful. But this week's topic is... conspiracy theories around someone's death.
Ooh.
So,
to
start that off, I'm going to talk about Tupac. Or is it Tupac?
I'm pretty sure it's Tupac. You're not going to the store and buying a 2-pack of shampoo or something.
I'm actually
Angela, listen to me. Don't edit this out.
I'm not. That was the worst Taylorism. That's the Taylorism of all
the
Taylorisms. Let's talk about 2-packs.
A 2-pack of shampoo. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Tell us about Tupac, Taylor.
Oh, as she finishes her glass.
It's down my mind.
And it's gone. Here we go.
Well, since I've already embarrassed myself already, I'm just gonna get right into Tupac's story.
Let's do it.
Here's a picture of him for those who are watching on YouTube. He was born on June 16th, 1971. Fun fact, he was actually born Lassane Parish Crooks in Manhattan, New York City. And it was actually his mother who ended up changing his name to Tupac Amaru Shakur. Shakur? I don't know. I'm just not doing the pronunciations correctly, so just fucking hate me later. It's fine. But the name Tupac Amaru Shakur means shining serpent in Inca, so that's just a little fun fact there if you didn't know that already. But he is best known for his music career because he was a rapper in the 1990s. Early 1990s is when his career took off, and he was a central figure in the West Coast hip-hop industry. And he liked to focus on social issues and such of that nature instead of the gangsta rap, which was number one in that time frame, so he was a little bit different on that. So before I get into his murder, there was an attempt on his life, essentially, that happened November 30th, 1994. Tupac was shot and seriously wounded during a robbery committed by 2 armed men in the lobby of a Midtown Manhattan office building that housed a recording studio where he'd been working on his 3rd album, Me Against the World. Tupac blamed the attack on producer Sean, who's Puff Daddy, and here are the 2 photos here. Sean Puff Daddy is on the left, and then also rival rapper Christopher Wallace, aka the Notorious B.I.G., Big. And what's a fun fact is that the B.I.G. and Tupac used to be friends, and then I didn't get into it, but essentially they had a fallout, which resulted in them being worst enemies in the rap game. So he kind of blamed those 2 for that happening because it was a well-known factor that he was recording with the studio. And it's you knew that I was going to be here. You could have set this up to try and kill me, but luckily he survived. Excuse me. But he did die a few years later, about 2 years later, so in Las Vegas, September 7th, 1986. Tupac and his crew had just finished watching Mike Tyson versus Bruce Seldon, which was a boxing match, and they were in the lobby of the MGM Grand Hotel. So on tape of like the lobby surveillance camera, they caught a violent scuffle with a man later identified as a member of the Los Angeles-based Blood Street Gang trying to attack Tupac, essentially. Luckily, nothing happened there, but a few hours later, Tupac was riding passenger in a car driven by Marion Shusht Knight. I don't know how to say his name, I'm sorry, but here's a picture of the two of them, and then ultimately the car as well that was shot at. So they're driving along, and then when a white Cadillac pulled up alongside them at a stoplight on Flamingo Road and opened fire, at least 12 shots were fired, and 4 of them hit Tupac. 1 in the arm, 1 in the thigh, and twice in the chest, and 1 bullet entered his right lung. So not looking very good for our friend here, to say the least. He was rushed to the hospital, and over the course of a few days, doctors said that the chances of a recovery were very good. However, on September 13th, 1996, he passed away from his injuries. He was only 25 years old. So where the conspiracy comes through is that there are a lot, and I mean a lot of conspiracy theories saying that he never actually died and that he's still alive today. So I'm going to go over through a couple of them right now. I think I have a total of 6, all from the irishmirror.ie.com, because they just like took all of them from the internet and gave you this beautiful present-wrapped article that I'm pretty much going to read from. So one of the theories was that Tupac fled to New Mexico after using a body double. Filmmaker, which is this guy right here, Rick Boss, a foremost Tupac, conspiracy theorist, believes Tupac resettled in New Mexico after he uncovered a plot to kill him. Boss claims Tupac used a body double or escaped Las Vegas with the aid of a helicopter. Boss told ABC KTNF of a film that he made about it titled Tupac, The Great Escape from UMC. He claims he relocated there to get protection from the Navajo tribe. What the Navajos had against him, I have no idea. But
I thought he went with the tribe to get protection from them,
Oh, you mean he joined them in order to have their protection?
Yeah.
That would make more sense.
Bunch of random Native Americans trying to kill Tupac.
We don't like rap. Taylor's a little toasty, so it's going to be interesting. Another conspiracy theory that came up was that Shug, who was the driver of the car during the night that Tupac was shot at, had said that Tupac had laughed in the car on the way to the hospital. He's bleeding and shot 4 different times in different areas of his body, and he's laughing. Completely understand, because, I have an inappropriate reaction of laughing to pretty much anything that happens to me that I'm uncomfortable with or actually think is funny. So, I wouldn't write that off too much. But also, he, recalled that a couple weeks prior when they were in Maui, that Tupac was saying how he would be fine if he died, essentially, and would watch over the funeral. I'm not too sure. This article, I feel might have been in a different language prior to when I got it. Ooh, yes, pour that wine, Lexi. So I feel there might have been a translation issue, but from my understanding is that Shug, who was driving the car, was just he joked about faking his death at one point. And this is a picture of the two of them together back in the 90s. So he alluded that he wasn't dead, and since he was in the car with him and his, not necessarily final moments, but the final moments that he was outside of the hospital, because ultimately he did die in the hospital, allegedly. Another theory is that Tupac is alive and well, and the Illuminati are somehow involved in him being just fine. This is one of my personal favorites because it's Jr., who shared footage of a man in Malaysia he claims to be Tupac. He also posted snaps of what looks like an older Tupac posing with Beyonce and 50 Cent, and here is a picture of that. Actually, JK, this is a picture. So this is him and Beyonce. You can kind of see that it looks like an older him, but like also pictures can be changed and modified in Photoshop. Like, I'm just recently getting into the habit of Photoshop, and I know it's very easy to place this, so I don't know how much merit you want to put behind these, especially since if he did go into hiding because he feared for his life, he definitely wouldn't be seen with other celebrities. So that's just a little something for the back of our mind. Also, he shared a screenshot of some messages that he received that said, "You said too much, time for you to go." And Shug Jr. said, "The truth will be out and I'm not going anywhere," with a little middle finger emoji.
Wait, when?
And allegedly that's from the Illuminati saying that you know too much, that Tupac is alive, stop sharing this information type of thing.
And when were those text messages sent?
That's a great
when you first started talking
question
about emojis, I was like, were emojis even a thing? But then I'm like,
I want to say this. Okay, this is probably in the early 2000s, probably like 2005 to 2010-ish, if emojis were a thing there. Don't fact check me. So then there's another conspiracy theory that Tupac was in New York in 2011 and was taking part in the Occupy Wall Street protest that was happening during this time. So here's a picture of what is a quote allegedly Tupac, but it could have been just another guy. He's wearing a yellow hoodie, and this happened in 2011. He was snapped on Wall Street, and the first couple of photos, he didn't have his hood pulled up like the photo that I'm showing right now. However, I couldn't find any of those photos, and this is the only photo that came up, and this is like a zoomed in photo. Again, take it with a grain of salt because we never know, but it does look a lot like him. But there's also a lot of controversy around that because it's like, okay, if you went into hiding because you feared for your life, why would you go to an activist thing where you could have gotten seen, right? And one other is that Kim Kardashian thought that she saw him in 2012. Here's a picture that she tweeted of him. She said on Instagram with the caption, Tupac is alive and working. The image showed a man who resembled a rapper standing behind a desk and dressed in navy jumpsuit as he passed on a ticket to the person opposite him. So he was like working. You could kind of see a resemblance, but again, take it with a grain of salt. But it's funny that even like A-list celebrities of essentially our time is like, oh, this is Tupac, right?
They're also aware of the conspiracy.
yeah.
He is actually one of the top people who have not only gained essentially more fame with his passing, but also more fame with the albums that were released after his passing, along with all of the allegations that he's still alive, the allegations that people are seeing him. Because the article that I'm reading all of these from was like a 24-year anniversary of him dying, which would have happened this last September of 2020. So it's kind of curious to see that it's still kind of essentially a relevant topic that keeps popping up. But my personal and final theory that I'm going to go over is from that Tupac retired to Cuba with the help of Fidel Castro. So locals in Old Havana, Cuba had been known to claim they've spotted Tupac walking about the town. Videos of a man who bears a resemblance to Tupac had added fuel to the fire. Meanwhile, conspiracy theorist Michael Nice claimed he, with the help of former Cuban leader Fidel Castro, smuggled him into the country. Nice goes on to claim that there was a hit out on Tupac's head and that a plan to get him to safety was put into action after he was injured during the shooting. So essentially he got to the hospital, was fixed up, and then everyone reported that he was dead, but essentially he made it his way to Cuba after that, is what Michael Nice was saying. And Nice used to be Tupac's bodyguard, and he was supposed to be in the car with him of the night of the shooting, but he was actually delegated to drive the car of Tupac's wife or girlfriend. I can't recall what the status of that relationship was, but he was in charge of driving the significant other of Tupac to whatever location that they were either going to or where she wanted to go to. So he wasn't in the car with him. And so what is curious about Nice is that he was reported to have died December of 2018, days before he was set to release evidence he claimed proved Tupac was still alive. In a video uploaded to YouTube, he told his viewers, quote, "My name's Michael Nice. I faked my death on the 18th of December 2019, and I'm here today, back from the dead, to show why and how I faked my death. I'm going to put the record straight." So essentially, he claimed that Nice faking his own death shows that he has the capabilities to fake someone else's death. And he said that he had been receiving death threats before he quote-unquote died, because from my understanding, he's not actually dead. Nice. Tupac is supposedly dead, but Nice is not dead, and would be dead now if he hadn't faked his death. And he explained how he pulled off the stunt. He said that he arranged for an ambulance to collect him after he faked his death, and that he'd use a magic trick that he learned in his youth to stop his pulse. His body was then taken to the hospital, and a contact of the funeral home picked him up later and left an actual corpse to be taken to the morgue while he escaped. Quote, "I laid low for a year, and I'm back now to tell my story," which was a YouTube post that he posted. "Puts things straight and get on the mission," he said. So that's my story. Is Tupac
Wait, so the guy Nice, he actually faked, like he legitimately faked his death?
He faked his death. Everyone thought that he was dead for about 6 months to a year. It's a little shady into what exactly that entailed, but essentially he faked his death to prove that he has the capability to fake his deaths. Therefore, he had the capability of faking Tupac's death back in 1996. So that is proof to him, for us, that he was able to fake Tupac's death so that Tupac is living his best life, not as Tupac, essentially. So is he alive? Is he dead? That is up for you to discern.
Ooh.
Who fucking knows?
Who fucking knows? Wow. Well, my story is kind of like not near and dear, but a little close to home, but not really. But I don't know if you guys know this, but I have the same birthday as Michael Jackson.
I feel like I've known this fact, but it's not one of those thoughts.
So what's interesting?
I need more wine.
So my birthday is August 29th, right? And I already knew about this whole conspiracy revolving around the death of Michael Jackson. But when I was looking this up, I realized that Michael Jackson died the same day my dad died.
Whoa!
Isn't that weird? And so so June
weird.
June 25th.
Interesting.
So I was like, that's crazy. So I don't know exactly what year. Dang it, I thought I had that, but I got this information.
Wasn't it like 2016 or something like that?
Let me just pull this up very quick.
I feel like I was in high school.
And then maybe 2014, 13?
It was in
2011?
Oh, June 25th, 2009.
Oh, shit. I was way off.
We were like freshmen.
I was in, middle school maybe? I don't remember.
Sorry, my camera's not focusing.
Something kind of funny. My nephew, he used to absolutely freaking love Michael Jackson. Like as a kid, like he would always be dancing like him, right? And when he died, my nephew was probably like 8, maybe 9, and my mom told him, "Georgie, Michael Jackson died today." And my nephew was like, "The black one or the white one?" And then my sister-in-law was like, "Georgie, they're the same people." He's like, "What?" Like, because he used to always watch all the old school Michael Jackson stuff, and like I see that.
Oh
And
my
I'm like,
goodness.
oh man, the innocence of a child. And his mind was just blown that day. But I think that's funny.
Poor Georgie.
Yeah. But anyways, back to my story. So I got all this information from michaeljacksonsnotdead.wordpress.com. So someone made a beautiful
entire
a list of reasons why he's not dead. So apparently TMZ.com reported Michael Jackson's death prior to his actual death to UCLA. So it's like, wait, what? Why would they be able to do that? So that's one thing. And they have a photo that was an ET exclusive HD, and I'll pop up that photo here. But in the photo, you can see Michael Jackson kind of getting resuscitated, and he has like one of those breathing things, and and it's weird because you can see, like, it's supposedly through the ambulance window, and you can kind of see a little bit of a tint on the photo, but people are like, wait, how the hell did someone get a picture through the tinted windows of an ambulance? Like, that's not really, like, the windows are pretty dark, you know? And
unless, like, maybe you had your phone up against the glass and was tried to take a photo then.
Yeah, so it's like, but it's super, like, a very clear image, so they're like, huh. So, and apparently this is the only photo of, like, his entire, like, the whole entire situation. So that's another little sketchy thing. So I'm gonna send you guys a little video, and I could possibly edit it out when you guys are listening to it or watching it. You don't have to watch all of it, but just a few seconds of it. And the video essentially shows an ambulance that's leaving his residence, and it is going very calm. So apparently, like, the siren isn't on, and it's like slowly backing out of his driveway, waiting for a tourist bus to move, and it's like not hasty whatsoever. Very suspicious as to how it's not really, I don't know, not really making a big deal of the fact that, like, one of the legends are, like, dying inside of it, you know?
Unless he's already dead. That would be the only explanation that comes to my mind. But you also need a doctor to establish an actual death, and usually EMTs don't, from my understanding, I could be completely wrong, and if I am, please correct me. From my understanding, a doctor has to establish someone dead, and an EMT doesn't necessarily have that final dotted, like, it is 100% happening. They could say that someone's dead, but a doctor needs to, like, sign on it, is my understanding.
Like time of death or whatever.
So we have the ambulance that's moving very slow. We have, like, the photo that just seems a little staged, and then number 4, the coroner's report suggested that Michael Jackson was bald and only had peach fuzz on his head, and they even mentioned that the right side of his face had caved in and that he did not have a prominent nose bridge. But when you look at the image, that was, like, the image that I'll pop up again, you can't really see any kind of, like, right side of the face looking like it's caving in, and his nose looks like normal as Michael Jackson's nose was towards the end of that. But so it's like, it's weird because, like, all right, like, this doesn't really match up with the coroner's report, and apparently that picture would have been taken about 40 minutes to an hour after he went through cardiac arrest. And so that they think that, like, maybe his skin should have been a little bit darker, maybe it had a blue tone due to lack of oxygen. But it just looks like he even has his eye makeup on and intact, and he just looks like way too good in the photo. So number 5, the Jackson family also refused to do an open casket memorial service for Michael Jackson because they said his face had suffered distortion or injuries from the resuscitation. But again, the photo kind of, like, of the resuscitation, like, it doesn't look that bad, but it's like, okay, it's family, maybe we should just respect their wishes. They didn't want to have an open casket, but it's like, what if there was no body in that casket, you know? So
nobody
Anybody? Nobody. There's nobody.
So within a few hours of the cardiac arrest, Michael Jackson's close staff personnel were fired. And it seemed like a very bizarre and prompt decision. So everyone just fired them right away, right? And then
who would have had that standing point is my question, to be like, okay, he's dead, you're all fired. Or like, okay, we think he's dead, so you're all fired.
Yeah, so it's like, what? So number 7, Janet Jackson and the Jackson family removed Michael's belongings from the house that he was renting in LA on June 27th. So 2 days after he died, right?
So he didn't die at Neverland?
No, I think he died supposedly like in the hospital or like on the way to the hospital. And
Okay.
so there are news clippings on YouTube where you can see that even his bed sheets and blankets were removed from his house. So the Jackson family stated that they were concerned that these would be stolen because it was like something he was renting. However, the LAPD investigation into Jackson's death resulting from drug overdose and possibility of homicide was launched on the 28th. At this point, his belongings from his rented house had already been removed by the Jacksons. So despite this, the LAPD investigation contends that they found IV stands, IV bags, prescription medications, and oxygen tanks. So if Michael's belongings had already been removed, what exactly did the LAPD find? And how do we know that they were firstly even present, and secondly, if they had not been planted there after the fact? So like there was a lot of like removal of his belongings before investigation went down. So, number 8, Conrad Murray had been Michael's doctor for 11 days and was hired by AEG. A couple months prior to this, Michael had passed a 5-hour fitness test for insurance purposes with a clean bill of health. So, why exactly was a cardiologist hired for Michael and only 11 days prior to his death? So apparently Conrad Murray was a shady physician, and he even had declared bankruptcy in the 90s. And his prior activity in certain suspicious stuff and can make him like a candidate to blame Michael's death like easily. So if he is faking his death, they could be like, oh, he had a shitty physician. And so it's like kind of like, okay, why'd they bring on this guy, especially when Michael could probably afford better? So he kind of got like framed a little bit for the crime because people were saying that they like overdosed him or something. But it's like, what if he didn't do it and they're like faking his death, you know? So number 9, so Michael always wanted his children to have their own private lives away from the media. However, in the months preceding his death, Michael decided to unveil his children to the world. So it's like, why now? Like, what is? Because I remember he used to always like have his kids under like sheets and stuff. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Any pictures that were taken of them by paparazzi, they typically were covered by something so that their initial identity would be still hidden.
Yeah. So number 10, from December 2008 to February 2009, it was reported that Michael was suffering with a serious skin infection that could lead to flesh-eating bacteria, that he had emphysema, needed a lung transplant, and had intestinal bleeding. It was even reported that Michael felt that he was going to die shortly. He was photographed in wheelchairs and was at the point where he could not even walk. However, a couple months later, he rocked the world with news that he'll be launching the O2 concerts. Not only that, but AEG released footage of him dancing on stage in perfect form 2 days prior to his death. It is rumored that Michael used his illness as a means of seeking media attention, something that he had learned from Elizabeth Taylor. In fact, he even collapsed prior to a concert, which was canceled. In addition, he reportedly used illness as a means of not attending public events. So...
Me too, Michael. Me
yeah,
too.
Like, so, this is interesting because I'm going to send you another YouTube video. You can skip over to about 48 seconds into it. And this is a video of Michael's body being transported in a helicopter. And it's his dead body supposedly being transferred from UCLA to a coroner's office. And you can see his dead body move. Like, you could see the body bag, like, sit up at around 48 seconds.
What the?
Lexi, didn't you go to UCLA for like a something another in like
Yeah, I went to like a med
2010?
camp there. I think it was in 2013 or 14. It was right before I graduated high school.
A couple of years then. Because I remember that I picked you up from there. Me and my family picked you up, and we had a California adventure for the first time.
California adventure.
Oh, you can totally see it move. The fuck, man?
48 seconds?
Yeah, around 48 seconds.
But, like, if I'm faking my death, I also have a problem with being enclosed into small spaces.
What the fuck?
So, but, like, also, even if I'm trying to, like,
still.
I wouldn't be able to be in the body bag for starters, but also, like, if I was placed in the body bag, I'd be like, I want people to think I'm dead, I'm not gonna move, because my life has always been on camera.
But what if it's...
So, what are the odds?
What if it's not him in the body bag, though? Like, it's someone that was hired.
They hired someone.
Okay.
And they're like, are we
I can't
done?
do this.
Can I move yet?
So it seems that, like, the body on the stretcher actually rises and moves, as you saw in the video. And this is after the fact that rigor mortis should have set in, leading to a very stiff body that would have been incapable of motion. So who is that on the stretcher? Crew in the helicopter reported that they were just moving the stretcher. However, the body actually moved relative to the straps of the stretcher, because you can see it kind of like sit up. So it's like, what the fuck? Okay, number 12, it gets stranger. From the coroner's office, Michael Jackson's death certificate was not signed by a physician. Conrad Murray refused to sign it, as did the physicians at the coroner's office. Why not?
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
They refuse to sign it.
If you think he's dead, like, I understand. Okay, so I just recently watched The Dirt, which is a movie based off of the book written by Motley Crue of their experiences. And their lead guitarist, Nikki Sixx, died twice and was resuscitated after overdosing on heroin. And essentially, like, the scene that they showed in the movie was him dying and then in the ambulance, and one of the ambulance workers was like, he's not freaking dying on my watch, like, this is Nikki Sixx. So, like, if you were in that situation of being in a life or death situation, I can understand why you don't want to be responsible for claiming that he's dead, but also to outright refuse to sign. If you have a dead body in front of you, like, why would you refuse to sign something?
Yeah, so that's like...
It's a little suspicious.
So number 13, 14, and 15 are all about how his family just didn't seem to be grieving. Apparently, his daughter, Paris, came... had an interview, but she didn't seem that sincere about it. And then she suggested that she wanted to release an album soon to be just like her father. His dad, Joe Jackson, attended the BET Awards and was interviewed by CNN. And during his interview, he just like kind of like promoted his own album too, and like barely like touched on Michael's death. And then his mom, the like day of his, like, I think the next day or something, was spotted in Target just like chilling. And apparently, like,
retail therapy is a thing.
Maybe. And I guess none of Michael's close friends attended his funeral. So like Elizabeth Taylor, his divorced wife Lisa Marie Presley, and not even Oprah Winfrey, who was like all like people that he like made appearances with and stuff. So it's like, why weren't they there? And then so AEG took out an insurance policy covering the accidental death of Michael, not natural death, with an accidental death ensuing from overdose and drug abuse is covered. So when the insurance policy was being drafted, did AEG have a premonition that Michael would die within a few months from death possibly caused by prescription medications? So that was like, So for the O2 concert, Michael repeatedly said, "This is it, the final curtain call," as well as "See you in July," and he died in June. So it's like,
June.
huh.
Whoa.
And then this is like, this one's kind of fun. While Larry King was visiting Michael's room in Neverland, cameras supposedly caught the ghost of Michael on film, and I'll send you a little video of that too.
Ooh.
And it's like, it's kind of eerie because you definitely see the shadow going by. So it looks like
Is it doing the moonwalk?
No, it's just walking straight forward. So
Shucks,
it definitely
man.
looks like Michael's shadow walking across the fireplace and into the wall. Michael was a billionaire, and even his personal trainer mentioned that Michael loved playing pranks. This projection of a ghost was most probably due to special effects. Michael must be enjoying this from wherever he is hiding. So he might have been put that in, you know. And then apparently
cool,
Michael was obsessed with mannequins, and he would
I don't see a shadow. Oh, I see a shadow. Sorry. It took me a few tries.
I don't see a shadow. I saw it.
It's like, ooh. So Michael was obsessed with mannequins apparently, and he had placed these all over his residence, and because he was a very lonely person who wanted to have people close to him in his life, the only thing that he could have were mannequins, which is very sad. But there are reports that Michael's staff contacted Gunther von Hagens to have his body plasticated posthumous, so they're gonna make him into like a mannequin, which is like really freaking creepy. But apparently maybe people are wondering if Michael, like that picture of him being resuscitated, was actually some kind of weird like mannequin, like plastic version of him or something. So yeah, that's like pretty much like all these little things. I think it's really creepy that the body bag totally moves in the helicopter. I think the ghost thing,
Yeah, what the hell?
like, I don't know, like it seems like it could have been some kind of special effect that was added in, and who's to say that someone else didn't do that, or if it's like Michael himself being like, ooh, you know. But I feel like he overall was kind of a sad, lonely person towards the end there. And I could see why he would just be like, fuck this, I want to like fake my own death and try to get away from everything.
Mm-hmm.
No?
Well,
Sometimes that's the only escape.
Yep. So if I go
Fake
missing,
your own death.
don't look for me. I'm just kidding.
Angela faked
We'll hold a seance, and the lack of communication from you will be a sign that you're actually still alive.
Be like, she would have reached out if she were actually.
Yeah.
I would let you guys know if I was faking my own death. I'd give you a little
Thank you.
tip.
I need to be in that inner circle.
I'd be like, just don't tell James. Just kidding.
James, collect the insurance money and pretend.
You go, man. Oh my god. That's funny.
Alrighty, interesting. You know, I remember learning of his death and being kind of shocked by it, but I didn't realize there was so much like kind of controversy on that.
I know. I mean, yeah.
I was just
That's
tripping
really
out about the fact
interesting.
that like I was born on the same day he was born, and my dad died the same day he died. Like I was just like, what the fuck? I told my mom that, and she's
wild.
like, what? Like that's weird.
What?
Your dad and Michael Jackson are fucking partying right now.
Apparently.
Imagine that.
If he's
I hope so.
Allegedly,
yeah,
maybe.
Michael Jackson's even really dead. Just kidding.
Alrighty, Lexi, what are you talking about this mini-sode?
Okay, so I am going to tell you about the death of Princess Diana, and there's really not much argument around whether or not she's alive, like your stories, but the reason and cause of death, it's a little sus, which I learned from my cousin means suspicious, my little frat boy cousin.
Oh my god, is that Brayden?
Sus, that's what kids are saying nowadays, I guess. I don't know.
Did he do the 2-week quarantine as well?
He did, yeah.
Oh wow, he
He finished a little bit before me.
Okay.
He survived. Okay, but so on the night of August 31st, 1997, something terrible happened. So that was the night Princess Diana was killed in a fatal car crash in Paris, and essentially the effects of it were felt around the world. But there's a lot of disagreement on like why she died. Was it an accident? Was it not an accident? So that's where it gets kind of interesting. So for some people, what happened that night wasn't simply just a tragic accident. Instead, it's the result of some kind of conspiracy, and there's a lot of different theories involved, which I'll get into. There were numerous reports and investigations, and experts have all agreed with, again, the official accounts of events that happened that evening. So Diana had been in a car driven by a man who was drunk, and that failing, as well as others, led to essentially why the car crashed. But there are, of course, naturally some other conspiracy theories involved as to why the crash happened and etc.
Did she know that the driver was drunk? Do you know?
I don't think she knew the driver was drunk.
Confirm that, obviously.
I mean, yeah, I don't know if we know that she knew, but I haven't seen anything that she knew the driver was drunk.
Okay. Was the driver like one of her friends?
It was like a security guard, a driver that has driven her many times. Ooh. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so one of the theories behind her death was that Diana was pregnant. So the reason for her killing was because she was pregnant. And allegedly she was pregnant with someone named Muhammad al-Fayed, who was like some Egyptian, I think like a person in power. And essentially he claims that the royal family could not accept that an Egyptian Muslim could eventually be the stepfather of the future king of England. And that's why she was killed, to sort of cover up that whole ordeal, which is kind of interesting.
Please correct me if I'm wrong, but did she marry into the royal family, or was she a descendant of the royal family?
I think she married into the royal family, but if I'm wrong, I'm going to be really embarrassed.
It's
Some
fine.
people are like obsessed with the royal family, and I'm not. I'm interested, and I was interested in this conspiracy theory, but I don't know if she was bloodline or if she married in, but I'm pretty sure she married in.
Okay.
So another theory is that Diana believed that she was going to be killed herself by the establishment. So one of the main motivating factors behind this conspiracy theory is the belief that Diana thought she was sought out to be killed by essentially the royal family, I guess, or the royal establishment itself. So this is a letter that she wrote, I believed, to one of her close people in contact, and it says, "I'm sitting here at my desk today in October, longing for someone to hug me and encourage me to keep strong and hold my head high. This particular phase in my life is the most dangerous, is planning an accident in my car, brake failure, and serious head injury in order to make the path clear for Charles to marry." So, like, that's, like, kind of fucking weird, because that's basically what happened. That's how she died. So Diana clearly had concerns about her safety, so that much isn't really a conspiracy. Like, that was kind of obvious. She was very concerned about her safety. But it's, you know, kind of like, well, was the royal family involved in her death, or were they not? So that's still kind of up in the air and involved in a lot of conspiracy theories.
I wonder, since, you know, Harry and Meghan are married now and they left, they, like, put aside all of their credentials and everything like that. I wonder if Princess Diana's death had anything to do with it, or if it was a concern in the back of their minds.
Scared. Oh, that's so true. I know. So another theory is that the paparazzi made the car crash intentionally. So when it first initially happened, the photographers and the paparazzi were blamed repeatedly for Diana's death, because I think the paparazzi was like following the car and taking photos and whatnot. So official investigations have found that the Mercedes car that Diana was in does seem to have driven quickly, in part to escape the photographers. So it's like they could have been to blame, but it's kind of up in the air if they intentionally caused it or not. Another theory is that the driver, Henry Paul, intentionally caused the crash. So he was head of security at the Ritz Hotel in Paris. Conspiracy theorists believe that he was in the pay of at least one other organization. So perhaps an organization paid him to kill Diana intentionally. And I actually don't know if he survived the crash or not. But again, he was drunk at the time of the crash. And
the driver, correct?
The driver.
And this is a known fact.
Yes.
That he was drunk.
So maybe he did survive. God, I'm the worst.
It's okay, I'll Google right now. By the way, she did marry into the family.
Great. I knew that. Another theory is that there was something wrong with the Mercedes Diana was traveling in. So it's thought that perhaps someone had diddled with the car to intentionally kill her, to intentionally cause the crash. So that's another sort of strange happening.
The word diddled.
By the way, the driver did die.
Oh.
The driver did die. Okay, so it was probably in the autopsy that they realized alcohol was in his blood.
The word,
diddled.
It sounds sexual, so it's like they diddled the car.
Ooh. What did they do to it? Ooh, I just got a bad feeling about that.
Allegedly, bright flashes in strange vehicles were on the road the night of the crash and at the time of the crash. So numerous people reported seeing flashes as the car head into the tunnel, the fateful tunnel where the crash happened. And that flashes were to blame for the crash itself. But the problem was that many people reported different flashes at different times from different places. So when I first read that, I'm like, UFOs. But I think it kind of goes back to like the paparazzi theory, like camera flashes and whatnot. Or like intentional bright flashes to distract the driver and make the car crash.
That'd be a way to like distract the driver. It's like install surprise strobe lights. Get them drunk and then insert surprise strobe lights. That's one way to fuck with them, you know?
That's enough for anyone.
Right, I know. And the last theory I'll discuss is that Diana's medical care was deliberately sabotaged. So conspiracy theorists believe that the doctors essentially allowed Diana to die on purpose by not treating her in the proper way. So part of the belief in this theory comes from the fact that the French approach to emergency care is a little bit different than in the UK. So in France, emergency crews focus on giving treatment at the scene before moving the person to the hospital. And in the UK, it's all about like getting someone to the hospital as soon as possible. So it could have just been like the French culture, I guess you could say, or they were deliberately trying to kill her. So who fucking knows what the truth is? But it is a little bit, quote, sus, as my cousin Brayden would say, the death of Princess Diana. And I mean, I was 1 when she died, but even just here and now, people that were alive then and were alive when she died, like it kind of like rattled the world. Like it was a tragedy. So it's very interesting to hear that there were conspiracy theories surrounding her cause of death. So who fucking knows?
Good fucking story.
That's what I got for y'all.
I never knew all the like questions leading up to her death because I knew that she died surprisingly in a car crash and that there are some questions, but on why she was killed or how it might have been like the royal family. That's interesting sketchy to me.
I know, and that's really interesting that you brought up, Taylor, is Harry and Meghan like exiting the family or whatever. It's like Meghan's probably like, I don't want to end up like Princess Diana.
I wonder what type of pressure Queen Elizabeth has.
I know.
Like, Jesus.
Yeah.
She seems like the innocent old lady. How innocent are you?
Yeah.
You listening?
So this mini-sode is turning out kind of longer than a normal mini. It's like a mega mini, but I have one more little short little blurb that I want to talk about. And I really like this man. His name is Steve Jobs. And before I even get into it, I'm going to just say you should look up Steve Jobs. I think it was Stanford speech or something. Like he did a speech at one of Stanford's graduations, and it's one of my favorite speeches ever, and it tells about his life and everything. But I'm going to talk about his death. So in mid-2018, nearly 7 years after he tragically died of pancreatic cancer at the age of 56, someone on Reddit posted an image of a man in Egypt who looks a hell of a lot like Steve Jobs. And the little quotes of the Reddit post title is Steve Jobs hiding in Egypt after faking his death. And I'm going to send you a picture, like the picture that they sent, and it does look a hell of a lot like Steve Jobs. But
I honestly remember this happening because I remember it being kind of an internet sensation at the time.
yeah, it's like, whoa. So, yeah, the guy says, while the guy does have the classic Steve Jobs thoughtful chin grab, some people have pointed out that he's not wearing an Apple Watch. Now ask yourself, if you were the head of a global technology corporation known for inventing a very identifiable wrist accessory, would you wear such watch after faking your own death and escaping to Egypt? Nah, no. I wouldn't, you know. I just like,
that's sus.
So yeah, a lot
gotta
of
go deep undercover, man.
Yeah, so a lot of people think that maybe Steve Jobs went and escaped to Egypt, and it was like this big thing on Reddit, and yeah. So if you see the picture, I'll send it to you. I'll pop it up here, and I think it does look a lot like Steve Jobs, but I honestly think he passed away. As sad as that is, but.
Oh my god, it does.
Yeah,
though.
it does. What the fuck? But yeah, you should listen to his
funny.
Stanford speech. Like, his life is crazy. Like, did you know he was adopted?
Yeah.
You didn't?
I don't think
only because I've listened. I think it might have been you. It might have been someone else who. I honestly think it was you because we were living together at the time.
Yeah, it probably was me.
Or
this has been a speech I've been obsessed with since like high school. Like, I had like quotes on it on my wall like in high school and stuff. So it was definitely me.
Is there like a remix with his like speech playing on top of it? Because I feel like you introduced that to me, or was it someone else?
I had a dream, like Martin Luther King's song. There's a song.
Sure.
James is like, when I used to play that song, he'd be like, please turn this off, like this is ridiculous. But honestly, it's just so inspirational. But
I need a reason to jog right now.
So we are at the end of our minisode, our mega minisode, and at the end of every minisode, I draw a tarot card. So I'm gonna pull one of those bad boys out for you guys. I don't know if I've shown this deck on here yet. My friend got me a new deck for my birthday. This might be the first time we've had a mini recording since my birthday, but I don't know, maybe not. But yeah, so
I think it's the first time I've seen it.
It's really pretty.
It's exciting.
Shout out to Brittany, thank you. So
Brittany,
take this card as you will. Maybe think of a question as I'm drawing a card that, I don't know, maybe you're going through something or you need some kind of answer, and this card might provide you some insight, and listen to whatever resonates. So the card that I drew, oh wait, I kind of fucked up. I'll just say it's upright, but it's the Three of Swords. So I'll show you guys it. I like the art on this one too. It's very colorful, and it's clearly like they made it with Adobe Illustrator, and I love Adobe Illustrator, so that really attracts me to it. So there's Three of Swords. Let's see. It says pain pierces the heart, puncturing the soul in the process. Heartbreak is never easy, as you are overcome with grief so large it engulfs you completely. Well, damn. Sacrifices and broken relationships weigh heavy on your heart, taking up all of your mental space. Rejection, doubt, loneliness, and betrayal follow you as you heal yourself from your wounds from this emotional blow. Trust that you are strong enough to survive, and eventually the aches will subside with time. The most painful lessons define our strength of character. Use this power emotion as fuel. Cry it out if you need to. Smash something. Punch your pillow. Anything that'll help you release these strong emotions. You'll feel better once you've allowed yourself to lean into the discomfort and fully feel the pain. Well, damn.
Someone's gonna go through a heartache pretty soon.
Yeah. Or someone's going through something. And I'm like,
Lexi, the next time you go to the ocean, just start screaming.
I'm just gonna go punch the ocean.
Well, damn.
On that note, just gonna scream into the ocean on whether or not Tupac or Steve Jobs or Princess Diana and everything like that is dead or alive.
But we're talking about death, so I feel like that's kind of irrelevant.
Yeah, true that. Yeah. But
heartbreak.
Yeah.
But sorry for the mega mini-sode, but enjoy, friends. And on that note, we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.